When Lisa saw her husband place his phone face down for the third time that week, she knew he was hiding something. Not because she was paranoid, but because she knew him too well. Mark never hid his phone. He'd leave it on the bathroom sink, as if afraid to miss anything important. Now, screen down, silent mode, eyes darting away whenever she entered the room. She didn't say a word. She simply set the plate of pasta on the table and smiled, as always. "Thanks, babe," he said, not looking at her. Lisa nodded, sat across from him, and began to eat. But inside, everything clenched like an old fist. 8 years of marriage. 2 kids. A suburban Chicago home with a perfect lawn and a 20-year mortgage. And now a crack. Small, almost invisible. But she could already hear the foundation groan. She didn't spy. Not at first. At first, she just noticed the details. How he started staying late for meetings, how he stopped suggesting they watch shows together at night, how his hands, the same ones that once stroked her hair in the dark, now seemed to avoid her skin entirely. Then one morning, after he'd already left for work, she found a theater ticket in the pocket of his blazer. 2 seats. For next Friday. For the very place she'd wanted to see last month, but he'd said, "That's not really my thing." She stood in the kitchen, gripping the ticket in her palm, feeling cold rise from her toes to her throat. Not from heartbreak. From fury. Lisa wasn't the type to cry into a pillow or make scenes. She was a second-grade teacher, trained to listen, observe, wait. And she knew, the best revenge isn't a scream. It's silence. More precisely, silence with consequences. She didn't confront him. Didn't check his phone. Instead, she did the one thing he'd never expect, nothing. She kept acting normal. Cooked dinner. Helped the kids with homework. Smiled when he kissed her goodbye. But inside, she was already building a plan. A plan where he'd realize everything himself. No yelling. No tears. Just facts, naked, undeniable, like an electric bill. "Friday morning," she said. "I've been invited to Sarah's girls' night. I'll stay over at her place. The kids are with Mom." Mark nodded without looking up from his coffee. "Great. You'll get some rest." She smiled. "You deserve an evening to yourself, too." He froze for just a second, then relaxed. "Yeah," he muttered. "Haven't been alone in a while." She almost laughed. "Alone?" "No, darling. Not alone." That evening, Lisa didn't go to Sarah's. She got in her car and parked 2 blocks from the theater. She put on dark sunglasses, even though it was nearly dark, and waited. At exactly 7:45 p.m., he stepped out of a cab. Alone. But 3 minutes later, a woman approached, slim, in a black dress, short hair, bright red lipstick. She laughed, took his arm, and they walked inside. Lisa didn't flinch. She just pulled out her phone and took a photo. Then another, one close-up as they passed under a street lamp. His face was crystal clear. She didn't cry. Didn't rage. She just documented it all. The next morning, Mark came home in a good mood. The kids were already at their grandmother's, and he was surprised to find Lisa in the kitchen. "You didn't go to Sarah's?" "Changed my mind," she said calmly. "Decided I'd rather spend the evening at home." He frowned but said nothing. "Just want to change." Lisa set 2 coffee mugs on the table. When he returned, she handed him one and said, "Look." He took her phone. His face went from confused to pale. He looked up. "It's not what you think." "What do I think?" she asked softly. "We just went to the play. A colleague from work. Nothing happened. You bought tickets in advance. 2 seats. To the theater I wanted to go to. And you told me it wasn't your thing. But for her, it is." He fell silent. "I'm not asking if there was sex," Lisa said. "I don't care. Because the betrayal started long before that. When you stopped looking me in the eyes. When you started hiding your phone. When you decided I didn't deserve honesty." He lowered his head. "I'm sorry. Don't. I don't want your apologies. I want you to understand." "Understand what?" "That I'm not who you think I am." The next day, Lisa filed for divorce. No drama. No threats. Just papers submitted through a lawyer. She didn't ask for more than her fair share, just an equitable split and full custody of the kids until he got his priorities straight. Mark tried to talk, begged for another chance, said he loved her. But Lisa just looked at him calmly, without hatred, but without warmth either. Love isn't a word, Mark. It's actions. And your actions said everything. 3 months passed. She lived in a new apartment near the school where she taught. The kids adjusted quickly, children sense when the adult beside them is honest and steady. And Lisa was exactly that. One evening, as she cooked dinner, the doorbell rang. It was Mark, flowers in hand, exhaustion in his eyes. Can we talk? She let him in, not out of weakness, but to close the chapter for good. I lost my job, he said. She left me for someone else. Turns out, to her, I was just a way to pass the time. Lisa stayed silent. I finally get how much I lost. How much I took for granted. That's not my problem, Mark. I know. I'm sorry. She looked at him, not with pity, not with anger. With quiet, cold compassion. To forgive means to forget. And I don't want to forget. Because that memory is what will keep me from repeating my mistakes. He nodded, set the flowers on the table, and left. A week later, Lisa received a letter from her lawyer. He'd signed all the documents without objection. That same evening, she hosted a small dinner for her closest friends. Simple, warm, no fanfare. After everyone left, she sat on the balcony with a glass of wine and looked up at the stars. For the first time in years, she felt light. Revenge hadn't been her goal. But justice, yes. And she'd gotten it. Not through shouting or hurting him, but through her own dignity. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply becoming stronger and walking away without looking back.